Ahoy there, mates! All aboard! Financial freedom awaits. MyTrade proudly presents the Navigator, the newest, easiest, and brightest fundamental tool from MyTrade's renowned research team. Be guided in your investing voyage. Get the best stock picks, sound long-term strategies, and valuable information about the companies that you're buying. Follow the light. The Navigator. Better your tomorrow. Ahoy there, mates! All aboard! Financial freedom awaits. MyTrade proudly presents the Navigator, the newest, easiest, and brightest fundamental tool from MyTrade's renowned research team. Be guided in your investing voyage. Get the best stock picks, sound long-term strategies, and valuable information about the companies that you're buying. Follow the light. The Navigator. Better your tomorrow. Ahoy there, mates! All aboard! Financial freedom awaits. MyTrade proudly presents the Navigator, the newest, easiest, and brightest fundamental tool from MyTrade's renowned research team. Be guided in your investing voyage. Get the best stock picks, sound long-term strategies, and valuable information about the companies that you're buying. Follow the light. The Navigator. Better your tomorrow.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are again in another Wink episode. Ayan. So for this afternoon, we're gonna talk about SPNEC. Is it a buy or a pass with our analyst Herman de la Paz. All right. Let me get Herman. But first of all, tell us where are you watching us from? Yeah, our routine. I know you are all excited with this particular IPO. I am personally excited to interview Leandra Leviste on December 1. So this is going to be a back-to-back event for SPNEC. First is, I think we're going to have the terms and conditions ready later on, and then it will be talked about by Herman, and then we will tell you the recommendation, and then on Wednesday, December 1, let Lian tell you or get to know Lian in our touch base episode. This is I know that you are all excited to meet the youngest. If I am confirming, but I guess the last time was at least 31 years old when when his company got listed in the market, and Lian is just 28. So I think this is you know it only goes to show that when you know what you want to do at an early age, you'll be invested by it at as young as Lian is when he got started in the solar power business. Hi, Marie Luciem, watching from Taytay, Rizal. Ayan. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this particular stream to your friends and families, even though they don't have or not yet a member of My Trade. And make sure to click subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be up to date in our latest segment. Hi, Dion John, watching from Ilo. Is it Iloilo or ILO? Watching from ILO, Illinois. June Eledia, watching from Alcobar, KSA. Speaking of Illinois, happy Thanksgiving. Those who are watching from USA, this is the weekend na pinakakaabangan na ating mga kababayan and also our friends in the US. And most of our BPO friends or industries have this. And speaking of BPO industry, we will have a BPO roadshow. So abangan nyo kami sa inyong mga kanya-kanyang companies, and we might just end up having an event with you. Hi, Paolo Reliama, watching us from Albay. So, ready na ba kayo? This is the first purely renewable energy company debut in the Philippine Stock Exchange. If you know recently, this is you will think of ASEN, but ASEN has a different model. And mamaya i-explain sa atin na ni Herman. And let me call Herman on screen. Hi, Herman. All right.
Hi, China.
Ayan. So,
Yes.
Herman, ano ba, ikaw ba, personally, being the young entrepreneur na si Rian, are you also excited in this particular venture?
Oh, actually, sobrang excited and at the same time, parang amazed din. Kasi kaedad ko lang yun. Imagine,
O, di
grabe.
ba?
Tapos
Kaedad
CEO,
natin yun, no? Oo.
Lodi. Oh, kaedad natin.
All right, I'll give you the floor so we can start, and later on we'll have Q&A. Wait.
All right. Yeah. Mm, okay. So, good afternoon, good morning, and wherever you are watching us right now, I hope you all guys are safe. So thank you for being with us today on a weekend. And again, I am Herman de la Paz from the Research Department. So today we're going to talk about the Solar Philippines and Nueva Ecija Corporation, or SPNEC. So we're very excited to share this information with you, and I hope afterwards we'll learn more about the company, and we'll be ready to answer all the questions from the audience. So first, for those who are not aware, let's start with the offer summary. So the offer shares will be a total of 2.7 billion shares. And then the offer price is already finalized at 1 peso per share. This results to a total offer size of 2.7 billion pesos. Now the resulting market cap post IPO would be 8.1 billion. And now the public will hold a third of the total outstanding shares post IPO. And the offer period will span from December 1 to December 7, while the listing date is slated on December 17. So let's start with the ownership structure. So as you can see here at the topmost part of the chart is Solar Philippines. So this is, as China mentioned earlier, this is founded by Mr. Leandro Leviste. Now, under Solar Philippines is Solar Philippines Power Project Holdings, or SPPHI. Now, under this company is Solar Philippines Nueva Ecija Corporation, or SPNEC. So, post IPO, as we said earlier, the public will hold a third of the total outstanding shares of the company, while SPPHI will be left with 66.77% of the total outstanding shares. All right, so let's start with the very most important consideration for this IPO, which is the investment highlight. So, the SPNEC, its aim is to build 500 megawatts of solar capacity, which will be split into two phases. So, phase one, which is composed of 225 megawatts, will be split into further two parts, which is phase 1A and phase 2B. Phase 1A and phase 2A, sorry. So phase 1A will be composed of 50 megawatts, and its commercial operation is targeted by mid-2022. So that's middle of next year. While phase 2A will have a total of 175 megawatts, and its commercial operations is targeted by the latter half of next year. And then phase 2A And then phase two will have a total of 275 megawatts, and its commercial operations is targeted by the second half of 2023. So to sum it up, these two phases will compose the total capacity of the project, which is 500 megawatts. Now, this total project will be constructed in the municipality of Peñafranda, which is around here in the province of Nueva Ecija. So what's interesting here is the company already secured a land lease for the total project, which is a total of 352 hectares of land. So the total project will be constructed in a total of 252 hectares of land, which is already secured. Now, so let's go discuss about the use of proceeds. So as we said earlier, the total proceeds is expected at around 2.7 billion, 39% of which will go to the construction of phase 1A, which is a total of 50 megawatts. Now, 51% of the total proceeds will be used for land for future expansion beyond the 500 megawatts. And then the rest of the proceeds will be allocated for transmission line, land lease for next year, and general corporate purposes. So what makes this IPO unique, exciting, and interesting? Those are the points that we'll be discussing in the next slides. So first, as China said earlier, SPNEC, it will be the only pure renewable play in the market. So it will be the first company to be the only pure renewable play in the market. So as you can see here sa chart, we showed yung mga listed peers ni SPNEC. So those are SCC, FGen, AP, and ASEN. So we're showing here kung ilan how much of their total capacity is coming from fossil fuel, or yung mga coal, natural gas, diesel, oil, yung mga tinatawag natin na dirty fuel, and how much of their capacity is coming from renewable. So kita mo dito na yung extremes ng spectrum, no? Yung both ends of the spectrum. So sa kabila, si SCC, 100% ng capacity niya is coming from coal. And then at the other end is SPNEC, yung other extreme, which is 100% ng capacity niya is renewables, which is nga yung solar capacity. So we think the closest siguro comparable to SPNEC is ASEN, because as you can see here, 83% of ASEN's total capacity will come from renewables, pero meron pa siyang 17% na fossil fuel. Pero for me personally, I think what separates SPNEC from ASEN is that SPNEC, it owns it owns 100% of its total capacity. So lahat yan pagmamayari niya, siya yung magmamanage. Whereas si ASEN owns only the non-controlling interest of a huge chunk of its international capacity. So yung pagmamanage nitong capacity niya abroad is not in their hands. So kasi nga, ayun nga, as we said, non-controlling interest lang yung pagmamayari niya dun sa international capacity. Whereas compared to SPNEC, 100% of the total capacity is under SPNEC. So siya talaga yung magmamanage. Kumbaga, mas may control siya. Mas may control siya dun sa pagmamanage ng total project. So the second interesting point about this IPO is that it has its own in-house engineering team. So this is compared to ASEN, who only hires a third-party contractor for its EPC requirements. So whereas si ASEN, meron siyang sarili na engineering team, no? And I think this is a very huge competitive advantage for the company, and I think this will do wonders for SPNEC as elaborated by these succeeding points. So first, ano ba yung advantage ng pagkakaroon ng in-house engineering team? Ang first advantage nito is it translates to lower capex per megawatt. So si ASEN, since meron nga siyang sariling in-house engineering team dahil dun sa affiliation niya sa Solar Philippines, whenever it constructs a project, it only needs to spend $400,000 per megawatt. So this is compared to ASEN's $700,000 to $800,000 per megawatt. So kung makikita mo dito, ang laki nung discrepancy, no? Parang kalahati yung matitipid sa budget ni SPNEC because of its own in-house engineering team. So anong advantage nito? It will result, since mas maliit yung pera na ilalabas ni SPNEC for its investments, it will result to higher return on investments and then faster payback period also, kasi mas mabilis niya mababawi yung pera na nilabas niya kasi nga mas maliit lang yung nilabas niya on a per megawatt basis. And also, since maliit yung costs na kailangan ilabas ni SPNEC, it will also translate to more competitive pricing. Kasi as we, for those who are not aware, for a generation company to have a contract in the market, kailangan niyang makipag-participate sa mga bidding. So parang auction to, no? So kung sino yung pinaka-competitive na pricing, sa kanya i-award yung power supply agreement. And since ayun nga, we know na controlled yung costs and expenses ni SPNEC, we think na it will result to more competitive pricing, which will heighten the possibility or the probability of securing contracts. And then also, I think I really like this another last point, which is the flexible payment method. So according to the prospectus, because it has its own in-house engineering team, medyo it grants si SPNEC na more flexible payment methods. So meron silang kasunduan na pwede niyang bayaran yung engineering team kapag stable na yung cash flow. So I think this grants a lot of flexibility for SPNEC, so hindi siya masyadong pressured in terms of budgeting its cash flow. And then last is the favorable policies in place. So sa panahon ngayon, the stage is set for renewables, no? Yung mga government policies are very supportive and very conducive for renewables to flourish in the current business environment. So we have the RPS, the GOP, and GAP. When you say RPS, that's Renewable Portfolio Standards. So that requires distribution utilities like Meralco to source some of their electricity from renewables. So required sila na yung electricity na ibibigay nila sa atin as customers, dapat isa-source, a part of it will be sourced from renewables. So, and then yung general, and then yung GOP, that's Green Energy Option Program. So for qualified customers, they have a choice to source their electricity requirements from renewable players. And then yung GEAP, that's Green Energy Auction Program. So ayan, so merong separate auction for renewables, no, na hindi kasama si natural gas, si coal, si diesel. So sa auction process na to, naka-separate talaga siya. So renewables lang yung pwedeng mag-bidding And as we said nga, because merong sariling in-house engineering team si SPNEC, we think na kaya nilang mag-submit ng very competitive pricing which will heighten the possibility of them securing a contract in the market. And for renewables, the government also mandated that they will have priority dispatch to spot, no? So meron tayong for a generation company to earn in the market, merong dalawang choices, general choices. First is to secure a contract with the DU, with the distribution utility, and second is to sell to spot. And meron tayong mandate from the government na uunahin lagi yung generation na nanggagaling sa renewables when selling to spot. So this will be a huge advantage also for SPNEC and for all renewables. And also, SPNEC will be granted with a 7-year income tax holiday starting sa commercial operations nila, which is next year. So for 7 years, so that's until 2028, so hindi siya magbabayad ng income tax. And then starting 2029, ang income tax niya lang is 10% of taxable earnings on a yearly basis. So this is smaller, no, relatively smaller compared to the 25% na binabayad ng mga non-renewable companies, no. So ayun nga, as we said, the stage is set for renewables to flourish in the current business environment. And we think SPNEC will be able to perform well once it starts its commercial operations. So of course, as we said nga kanina, no, sa main investment highlight, ang goal niya is to construct a total of 500 megawatts. And then ang commercial operations niya is by next year, and the second half of the project will come in by 2023. So I think some of us will be concerned with the execution risks, no. Will the company be able to deliver on its promises? No. So I think that's some of us will have that consideration, and I think that's a wise consideration, no, for us investors. And I hope these succeeding points will help us to boost our confidence sa ability ng company to deliver its promises. So first consideration is that the company already secured the land lease to accommodate 500 megawatts of capacity. So eto, nabanggit na nga to natin kanina, no. So a project of this magnitude, no, 500 megawatts, a project of this magnitude requires a lot of space, and I think it's a huge plus that the company was already able to secure yung land lease na kailangan for this total project. And I think this removes one of the biggest hurdles of the project, so that's a huge plus. And also, ang maganda here is that yung land lease na nakuha nila, yung lupa, it's mostly flat. So this will be helpful for the solar panels because it will maximize yung sun exposure, and it will help the solar panels to better harness yung energy that will be coming from the sun. So I think that's a very huge advantage for SPNEC. And then second one is that most permits were already secured, especially the service contract from DOE. So yung service contract, this I think is the very most important permit na na-secure na ng SPNEC. So there's service contract will allow SPNEC will grant the company the exclusive right to explore and to develop the renewable capacity of a certain area, which is ayun nga na na-secure na ni SPNEC. So I think this also removes one of the biggest hurdles of the project. And lastly, I think we can also look at the management's track record. So dun sa yung kanina natin na nakita na ownership structure, si SPPHI, hindi lang naman ito yung first niya na project, no? Itong sa Nueva Ecija. Meron din siyang mga nakaraan na project which is yung Calatagan and the one in Tarlac. So Calatagan has a capacity of 63 megawatts. So yung construction niya started in 3Q 2015, and then commercial operations started by first quarter of the succeeding year. So, and then the one in Tarlac naman, this should be a total of 100 megawatts. So sa Tarlac, that is a 100 megawatt capacity project. The construction started in 4Q of 2018. And then the commercial operations began by 2Q of 2019. So by looking at the management's track record, I think it speaks volumes no dun sa ability of the company to deliver on its promises. And I think this should boost our confidence on the company's ability to deliver on its promises. Okay. So so for the last portion of this presentation, we'll be looking at the valuations, no? So we'll get an idea how we arrived at our target price. So for its valuations, we actually did three methodologies. The first is the asset-based, relative, and the DCF. So we'll try to keep it as simple as we can, no? Para it will be easier for us to understand. So first is the asset-based valuation. To put it in simple terms, actually titingin lang tayo dun sa how the market is valuing the renewable capacity of the projects of a certain company. So we're actually looking at it on a per megawatt basis, no. So for this valuation, we try to look for listed global peers of SPNEC. So we can see here Trust Power Limited, ASEN, EDPR, ERG, SPA, CE, CEP Wind, and then SPNEC. So as we can see here, on a per megawatt basis, the market is attaching a valuation of $4.2 million per megawatt for Trust Power, and then for ASEN, that's $3.5 million per megawatt. So as you can see here, no, that at its current IPO price of 1 peso per share, SPNEC is actually SPNEC is valued at a huge discount to its peers, no. So you can see here na there's really a lot of room for potential upside for the company. And then to derive our target price or our fair value using this asset-based valuation, we try to get the mean EV over MW, the mean figure from its peers, and then we try to apply a 50% discount to account for the execution risks for SPNEC. And by doing those processes, we arrived at a fair value of 3.11 pesos per share using the asset-based valuation. So I think this asset-based valuation is the most straightforward valuation. No? Kasi ayun nga, you'll be just looking at the renewable capacity of a company regardless of whether it's already operating, is it still under construction, or is it already generating cash flow. So for this, I think this is the most straightforward valuation. And I think this also captures the hype that goes along with the ongoing shift to renewable energy. No? So I think this valuation captures the hype of that mega trend towards renewables. And then our second valuation is relative valuation, which takes into account yung earnings, yung estimated earnings ni SPNEC. So for here, we try to use a 2023 PE. So maybe you're asking why 2023? Because this is the first year na yung buong total 500 megawatts ni SPNEC is already in commercial operations. That's why we try to use this as a basis. So by using a 2023 PE, you can see here also, as the previous slide showed, SPNEC will also be trading at a very huge discount, no, to compared to its peers. And at the other end of the spectrum, you can see here ASEN, which is already trading at 42.6 times 2023 earnings. So you can see here also the very substantial discount that SPNEC currently has at 1 peso per share sa IPO niya. And then lastly, so by using the relative PE valuation, we also try to get the mean PE of its listed global peers, and then we also try to apply a 50% discount again to account for the execution risk kasi nga hindi pa operational yung project ni ni SPNEC compared to these listed peers. So by doing that, we arrive at a valuation of around 1.86 pesos per share. So you can see here na, ayun nga, sobrang mura niya. So we think the downside potential is limited, pero the upside potential is, I think the runway is tremendous for this IPO company. And then lastly, we made use of discounted cash flow and or DCF. So I think this is the valuation method that is very founded talaga in fundamentals, no, kasi we're taking into account yung mga potential cash flows that the company is yet to earn, no, in the coming years. So this methodology has a lot of assumptions, pero just to give you an idea, these are our basic assumptions. So first, it will be able to sell its generated electricity to the market at 3.50 pesos on a per kilowatt hour in 2022, so that's next year, and then 1% annual growth rate in the succeeding years. So we think this assumption of 3.50 is very conservative, because on a year-to-date basis, sa 9 months period this year, sa spot market, ang price ng electricity is around, ang average niya is 4.50 pesos per kilowatt hour. So we're just assuming 3.50, no? So you can see here na very conservative yung assumptions natin dun sa potential cash flows ni SPNEC. And then we also assumed a 16% capacity factor. So for those who are not aware, when you say capacity factor, so out of the total na maximum potential generation ng isang company, yung capacity factor, it explains how much lang doon yung talagang na-generate niya. So let's say if a generation company is able to, ang maximum potential generation niya, let's say, is 100 gigawatt hours, and ang kaya niya lang i-produce is, let's say, 50. So that means may 50% capacity factor siya. Pero for SPNEC, we only assumed a 16% capacity factor. So this means na out of yung 100% na maximum potential generation niya, 16% lang yung ma-generate niya. So we think this is also conservative because, as ASEN's CEO Eric Francia explained sa mga nakaraan nilang briefing, ang average capacity factor ng solar panels or solar plants in the Philippines ranges from 16% to 19%. So ang assumption natin here is at the bottom end of that range, no? We're just assuming 16% capacity factor, which I think is also which I think is very conservative also. And then we applied a 10% discount rate also, which I think is very conservative. So by doing the DCF, or the discounted cash flow, we arrived at a valuation of around 1.45 pesos per share. So since we used 3 methodologies to arrive at our target price, we tried to assign weights. So kita nyo here yung tatlong methodologies namin. And so that's the EV over megawatt, or the asset-based, and then the PE, or the relative valuation, and the DCF. And you can also see here the respective fair value per share that we arrived at using these valuation methods. And then we try to assign weights sa bawat valuation method, no? So ayun nga, as I said earlier, na I think DCF is the most appropriate valuation, because it's mostly founded on fundamentals talaga, kasi we're taking into account yung potential cash flows ng company, and also we're considering yung time value of money, no? Kasi lahat pa to sa future pa magmumula. Kaya we assigned a 50% weight sa DCF, kasi ayun nga, we think it is the most it's the most realistic, it's the most appropriate valuation for this kind of company. And then for EV, for asset-based and PER, we both assigned the 25% weight. So in this valuation, we try to capture yung fundamentals ng company, and also we try to take into account yung hype that goes along with the ongoing megatrend towards renewables. Kasi if you observe listed renewable companies, the market is actually attaching a premium na sa renewable companies na to kapag meron silang renewable capacity, no, regardless kung nag-generate na ba to ng cash flow, or is it already in operations, or is it still under construction, no? Kita mo talaga na the market is already attaching a premium to renewable companies. Kaya we try to also account for this hype, no, for this hype that goes along with the ongoing shift towards renewables. Kaya we also took into account yung EV over M value, which is the asset based. So as you can see here, by taking into account yung respective fair value computations namin sa bawat valuation, and by also multiplying them by their respective weights, our target price for this IPO is at 1.96 per share, 1.96 pesos per share, which implies an upside potential of 96%. And because of this tremendous upside potential that this IPO company is expected to give us, or is projected to give us, our recommendation is to subscribe. So, but it doesn't end there, guys. So, but wait, there's more. So, even if ang taas nung potential upside that our target price implies, we also want to share with you some final considerations, no, in order to further boost our confidence dun sa potential nitong IPO. So first, ayun nga, our target price is 1.96, pero it still has room for potential upside above our target price. Kasi ang tinake into consideration lang namin here is the 500 megawatts of total capacity of the project. Hindi pa natin kasama here yung potential na expansion nila beyond 500 megawatts. As you saw earlier, the company is allotting some of the IPO proceeds to acquire land for future expansion. So that piece of land will be used for expansion beyond the 500 megawatts. So if we haven't taken that yet into consideration sa calculation natin, so if we factor that sa computation natin, there's a lot of room talaga for potential upside. And but if you read the prospectus, besides the land lease secured for the 500 megawatt project, meron pang bakante na I think there will be a vacant lot pa of around a little under 400 hectares of vacant land that SPNEC can tap to further expand its project. I think kasya pa another 500 megawatts done. So really the runway for growth is still huge for this company. And then second, we want to share with you that at the IPO price of 1 peso per share, clients are getting in at the ground floor. So when you say ground floor, ayun nga, no, as we saw kanina, so parang mura niya compared sa mga listed global renewable peers niya. So since sobrang mura niya, we think clients will be able to enjoy all the value creation that the company will reap as it goes up towards 500 megawatts and beyond. Kasi this is unlike let's say ASEN, wherein the market is already paying at a wide premium talaga, no? Kasi nga as we saw earlier, it's already trading at 43 times 2023 PE. Pero ayun nga, dito sa SPNEC, papasok ka ng mura, and we think clients will be able to enjoy all the value creation as SPNEC moves its way towards 500 megawatts and beyond. So ayun, we think the runway for growth is still very substantial at its IPO price of 1 peso per share. And then also we for this IPO, we also want to temper the expectations of the market. No, actually, we think that it would be better for clients to think long term, no? And instead of siguro selling agad ng first day, ayun nga, kasi we think our target price can go beyond 1.96 pa eh. Especially if as the company goes nearer to its project completion. So nawawala, medyo nababawasan yung execution risk. So kailangan babawasan natin yung discount for the company. And also yun nga, yung potential future expansion beyond 500 megawatts is still tremendous. So if you think long term, I think this IPO offers a lot of potential upside for interested clients. So ayun, so for our last point, we want our investors to think long term for this IPO stock, because ayun nga, we think renewables is the future. If you read the news, many banks are starting to cut off funding for coal projects, and then I think ADB is also wants to phase out yung funding for coal projects in the country, and not just in the country, also in other countries. So in other countries, they're also cutting their funding for coal projects. So ayun nga, so we're starting to see the gradual global shift towards renewables, and we think because of SPNEC's unique position na siya lang yung only pure renewable play in the local market, and it has its own in-house engineering team. And ayun nga, the stage is set for renewables to flourish. We think SPNEC will be able to perform very well in the long term. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you learned a lot.
All right. So I think there are some questions that are already available for you, Herman. But just to there is one comment though that I wanna flash on screen. I think um, it's good to note. From Linus Camo, as previous news, Philippines is one country high potential area for investors for RE. My question is, there are other countries that doesn't, yung konti lang yung araw na nagpapakita yung, does it affect if for countries like Switzerland, yung sa mga European countries na most of the time gloomy, especially in the seasons like this from autumn to winter, will it have an effect versus a country like us is tropical who doesn't have winters? Is can we consider it as an advantage being in a tropical country?
Yeah, actually, yun nga, since renewable siya, a lot of its success relies on the environmental factors. Kasi nga, renewable siya. Ang fuel niya, it comes from the environment. And as explained in the previous briefings of renewable companies, actually in other countries, yung capacity factor ng solar nila and ng wind nila is higher dito sa Philippines. So I think each country has its own strength. Actually, sa Australia, I think they're more on wind naman. They're more on wind. So it also depends din dun sa landscape ng demographics, correct. Yeah, sa demographics, sa environmental factors. So I think for each country merong renewable plants na magpo-prosper, and then iba naman for other countries. So in the case of the Philippines, I think solar panels or solar plants will be able to perform well because of
Compatible.
Yes, correct. So ayan.
All right, so let's start our question. The first question is from Sejo Kyot. Cute naman ito. Hello po, kailan po pwede bumili ng IPO shares ng SPNEC? Actually, it's still available. The reason why we have this session today is for you to still have time, but we moved up our timeline to November 29. On Monday, you can still request. Just go ahead and check your emails. If you are a MyTrade subscriber, you'll be able to receive, or you have received an email from us, and there's a link wherein you can subscribe for the SPNEC shares. and this is going to be subject to approval, depends on the demand and the availability. If you don't have a brokerage account in LS, we encourage you to open an account with us. You can probably check with our customer service kung kaya pang makahabol dun sa shares for SPNEC. But if hindi man makahabol, being a member of My Trade, makikita niyo yung benefits niyan eventually. So moving forward, magiging okay naman din yung if you gonna subscribe now, para hindi ka na humabol like what we're trying to do right now, no, mahabol sa deadline. But you can also still apply for the LSI, which is available in the PSEEC. So you can also check there. We're one of the brokerages so that you can open an account for LSIP alone. All right. Next, from Noel Maramonte. What are the plans of the company for calamities, especially typhoons? I think Nueva Ecija is also frequently visited by a typhoon. Good question.
Okay. Hi, Noel Maramonte. Hi, sir. Thank you for the question. So, yeah, I think yung risks from typhoons, I think it's not naman unique to SPNEC, no? All solar panels or all renewable plants are exposed to natural calamities like typhoon. So, I just want to point out na it's not unique to SPNEC. And then according to the prospectus, the company also secured insurance because hindi naman to like unexpected event. You really expect calamities to somehow affect the performance of these solar panels. So the company will secure insurance policies in order to cover potential losses kung meron man na magagaling sa calamities. And I think kaya ang reason here is we also took that into account, yung calamities, yung effect from calamities, kaya 16% lang yung capacity factor natin, no. We also consider that. So kasi just for comparison, si coal ang capacity factor niya is around 80%. Si natural gas, medyo pareho sila. So matataas yung capacity factor nila kasi I think they're less prone to damages from this natural calamity. So for SPNEC, I think we factored that in na kaya mababa yung capacity factor natin, 16% lang. Kasi we're also taking into account yung potential effect from natural calamities. So I think conservative naman na yung assumptions natin. Ayun nga, merong insurance policies in place just in case na magkaroon ng potential losses from these natural calamities. So ayun nga, and also just to go back to my first point, hindi siya unique lang to SPNEC. Itong risk from calamities, hindi siya unique to SPNEC. All renewable plants are exposed to these natural calamities.
It's the type of the business. So it's
correct. Also.
Everyone. So if maapektuhan si SPNEC, more likely maapektuhan din yung ibang companies. All right. So next question. From Anthony Panganiban, if SPNEC has in-house engineering team, where did they get their experience? In country, we do not have any solar companies locally. Thanks.
Okay. Hi, Sir Anthony Panganiban. Thank you for your question. Actually, if you saw our slide kanina, yung sa in-house engineering team, meron siyang track record talaga. Sige, if we can take a look back. Itong sa management's track record. So yung in-house engineering team, meron siyang prior experience. Itong Kalatagan, which has a total of 63 megawatts. Construction started in 3Q 2015 and then commercial operations by first quarter of the succeeding year. And then yung Tarlac, this is 100 megawatts. Sorry, that's not 50. 100 megawatts. Construction started in fourth quarter of 2018, and then commercial operations started by 2Q 2019. So as you can see here, and then also the prospectus said na these two projects were able to earn a profit of around 700 million pesos in 2020. So that's around mga 163 megawatts. Ang total project ni SPNEC is around 500 megawatts. So you can expect the potential earnings to be like siguro thrice the amount that is being earned by Calatagan and Tarlac. And ayun nga, so meron siyang prior na track record na
Yeah, so it's
we can
not
look
in
into.
the
Yeah.
company but in the group in-house with
Yes,
the SP group. Yan.
yes,
So it comes from other projects which Herman has mentioned.
Mm.
And so it's a part of a bigger group. And
And I
also,
think,
correct, it's not
sige.
the only, I think we do
Yeah.
have solar companies here in the Philippines.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Pero ayun nga, siguro hindi ko nabanggit kanina, we already have solar farms in the country, pero maliliit lang siya, no? Maliliit. Marami siya pero maliliit. If you compare that to SPNEC na ang total potential niya na capacity is 500 megawatts, SPNEC will have the biggest solar farm capacity in the country. So I think that's one of the reasons then that makes it unique compared to other companies.
I've been receiving messages nagtatanong, so if you are also concerned with this question, kung pwede daw bang magdagdag, because some of our clients have already subscribed, and then they're asking me right now if baka nanonood sila, if they can still add. If you receive the email, you can still add, I think, in the link. Not too late though, because it's only up until November 29, which is Monday, 3 p.m. Ayan. So moving on to the next question. I really like yung mga tanong, no, Herman, yung mga tanong nila, mga
Yes.
smart, parang mga analyst yata.
Oo naman. Gusto natin yung mga ganyan tanong.
Oh, yeah, na challenge. Okay, from Jasmine Gamogamo. ASEN po ba is competitor of SPNEC? Yeah, that's a good one also.
Okay. Hi, Ma'am Jasmine Gamogamo. Thank you for your question. Yes, as we showed earlier sa graph po, si ASEN is one of the competitors domestically ni SPNEC along with si SCC, si AP, si NCFGen. Pero ayun nga, in terms of we said earlier na merong separate na auction for renewables, no, yung which is yung Green Energy Auction Program. So ang magiging competitor niya lang doon is si AP, si FGen and si ASEN kasi sila lang yung mga companies na may renewable capacity. Ayun nga, si SCC kasi 100% coal. So in terms of renewables, ang competitors talaga ni SPNEC is si ASEN, si FGen and si Aboitiz Power because of their renewable capacities also.
Yeah. Okay, next. From again Jasmine. Mukhang malakas ka sa prod if ever mag-materialize ang renewable energy operation in our country, meaning hihina ang electricity provider like Meralco. Also a good one. If parang iniisip niya, will this be an alternative for your usual source of power, which is Meralco?
Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Jasmine, for your question. Ayan, si Meralco, as of now, hindi pa siya direct competitor ni SPNEC kasi si SPNEC is a power generator whereas Meralco is a power distributor. So hindi pa sila direct competitor as of the moment. Pero ayun, si Meralco in their recent briefings, they're also trying to venture into power generation na din, no, in the coming years. Pero as of now, kung ma-materialize man si renewable energy in the country, since si Meralco hindi niya naman siya competitor, they'll still earn from their distribution business. So for now, hindi pa sila direct competitor.
Yeah. So if Meralco can actually be the client of SPNEC, tama? Kasi they're the ones distributing the sabihin ko sana, the kuryente, baka asarin ako dito, the electricity. So, yung distributor is different from the one supplying the energy. Ayan.
So, siguro for visuals lang. So, yung sa electricity natin, una magmumula siya sa power generation, and then tatawid siya kay NGCP, which is yung transmission, and then ihahatid niya kay Meralco or sa mga distribution utilities. And then si Meralco naman yung maghahatid sa kanya-kanyang bahay, sa mga end users. So as you can see, sa supply chain, hindi sila competitor kasi power generation yung isa, si Meralco distribution. So they're not really competitors.
Yeah. Keep on asking those questions. I think those are the questions na nahihiya kang tanungin, but it's important to know. Next. From Manoy's Finest. Ano mo, suki to si Manoy. What's the advantage of investing in SPNEC instead of investing in its parent company?
Well, hindi pa publicly listed kasi yung parent, which is si Solar Philippines or si SPPHI. So, unlike kay SPNEC na ayun nga, mag-IPO.
So there is
So,
no way to invest in the parent company.
yeah,
Sorry?
oo.
Oo, kasi hindi pa siya listed.
Yeah, oo.
So the way to invest to the parent company is actually to subscribe to SPNEC. Parang ganun ba
Yeah.
yun?
Magkakaroon ka ng exposure, yes, to the parent company.
Alright. So yeah. Next question, please. From Bradley Lim, may agricultural initiative operation kaya na na-displace by the project?
Mm.
Kasi di ba, this is a farm. So baka maapektuhan ba yung mga rice fields? Baka yun yung concern ni Bradley Lim. Which is a good one.
Mm. Okay. Thank you, Sir Bradley Lim, for the question. Yung service contract ni SPNEC for the project, nakuha siya 2017 pa eh. So, I think so yun, so matagal na nakuha yung service contract for this, and it will span for 25 years and can be extended by another 25 years. So for this one, I think meron talagang mga lupa na can be that are allotted for that can be allotted for renewables, and then meron ding lupa for agricultural. So I think nasa consideration naman to ng DOE when they grant service contracts. They're also considering kung magkakaroon ba ng ng displacement. So I think that's also part of the consideration naman by the government if granting a service contract will lead to siguro like displacement of agriculture. So I think that's one of their considerations also.
All right. So next question from Rodolph Quimamco Jr. How much money needed to trading? Do you mean yung magkano yung for you to start, or if you're asking for the initial, you can open at least 10,000 pesos to be able to start trading. And I think SPNEC also has a minimum of 10,000 if you need to subscribe. So if that's your question, just kindly clarify. Just let us know if nasagot ba namin ang iyong tanong. Next is Yang Amonte. What is the current valuation of the company?
Okay. Sige. Can we go back to the slides, Sheena?
All right, sure.
So, ayun nga, no, as we explained earlier, nag-enjoy ako sa pag-value nitong company, no? Kasi ang daming angles na pwedeng mong tignan. Eh. So, pwedeng ngayon asset-based, pwedeng net income, or pwedeng cash flow. So lahat ng angles na yon, I try to look at each of those angles, no, para magkaroon tayo ng holistic na view dito sa company. So, okay, for Yang Amonte, thank you, ma'am, for your question. Sige, let me go back lang to the valuations. Okay, so at its IPO price of 1 peso per share on an asset-based valuation, the market is valuing the IPO at $700,000 per megawatt. So ito siya. Ito yung valuation niya. This is compared to its listed global renewable peers na $2 million per megawatt, 2.3, 2.5, 3.5, 4.2. So ayun. So pero si SPNEC less than 1 million pa. Less than 1 million per megawatt. So you can see here na ang laki talaga ng discount niya. And then sa relative valuation naman, so in this case we're taking into account yung net income, yung projected net income ni SPNEC by 2023. So by 2023, ang PE niya is 7.5 times 2023 earnings. So ayun yung valuation niya at its IPO price of 1 peso per share. So ayun nga, if i-compare mo din siya sa mga international listed peers niya, sobrang layo, di ba? Sobrang layo nung discrepancy. So you can see here na sobrang mura ng pag-offer ni IPO sa atin. So kaya you can see here na the potential downside is limited pero the room for growth is tremendous for this IPO company.
So for the
So
benefit
ayan.
of those who are not familiar with PE, Herman, the higher the number, the more expensive it is.
Yes, correct.
All right. So next question. Next question is it's medyo similar daw, but it's from Levy John Boris. I think the relative valuation is more realistic. I think this is a comment more of. Pero I think you have already mentioned about this and you can reiterate or clarify. More realistic and reasonable valuation than asset-based since the company is not yet operating. The valuation will only be at 180 per share at 2023. Is it a good or skip, or is it a buy or a skip? So can you
Okay. Sige.
clarify on
Okay.
the comment also?
Okay, thank you for your comment, Sir Levy John Bores. More realistic. Siguro I think I would put it this way na lang, no. PE relative valuation is more founded siguro in fundamentals, no. Mas founded siya kasi we're taking into account yung earnings ni SPNEC. Pero kasi yun nga as I said earlier, maraming angles kang pwedeng tignan dito sa pag-value nitong company. Pwede mong tignan yung earnings niya, pwede mong tignan yung potential cash flow, or pwede mong tignan yung hype na ina-attach ng market sa renewable companies. And also, kaya ako sinama yung asset-based valuation. We also want to capture yung hype na ina-attach ng market sa mga renewable companies. So, ayan, kasi nga, if you observe, yung mga renewable companies now are trading at a premium talaga. So, the market is attaching a huge premium to renewable companies. And ayun, gusto natin ma-capture yung premium na yun. Kaya natin sinama yung asset-based valuation. And also, since hindi siya masyadong founded siguro on fundamentals, kaya maliit lang yung weight na sinama natin. And as we mentioned nga kanina, pinakamalaking weight na in-attach natin is yung sa DCF. I think that makes the valuation very conservative.
All right. Next, from Manuel Ponce, what is the estimate dividend yield percentage? Do SPNEC plan to expand abroad?
Okay, siguro what I can say now is if you look at the prospectus, ang dividend policy ng company is around 10 to 30% dividend payout. So, yung 10 to 30% ng net income niya can be distributed as dividends to shareholders. Pero, syempre, subject pa to. Since alam natin na nag-expand pa si company, mas mahalaga na yung pera is i-invest back dun sa operations kaysa i-distribute as dividends. So, we're not yet sure kung kailan siya magsisimula ng cash gifts kasi nga ayun nga siguro for now mas priority ng company na i-reinvest yung cash towards operations kasi nga nag-expand pa siya. Pero yan, to answer your question, 10 to 30% dividend payout. So does SPNEC plan to expand abroad? Wala pang nasabing ganun sa prospectus. So for the foreseeable future, domestic muna I think ang plan ng management.
You can also ask that on December 1 to I think Ian also. So make sure that you tune in on December 1 for that. Next. Can we have a question from those na hindi pa natawag? Do we have? Yes. Para mapagbigyan naman yung iba. Anyway, Young Amonte, TP is 196. How so? What are the driving factors of the said price? Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Yang, for the question. What are the driving factors? I think I've explained this significantly naman kanina.
So rewind mo na lang
yeah.
Yang.
Okay.
Para to move on. There is a question I want to post on screen. But are you gonna explain it again?
What are the driving factors? So, ayun nga, to arrive at 1.96, we made use of 3 valuations. First is the asset base to capture yung, ayun nga, yung hype towards renewables, and the two other valuations are based on fundamentals, which is PER and DCF. So for what are the driving factors? First is cheap yung company, and then second is yung ayun nga, yung potential, yung ano niya, yung planned expansion papuntang 500 megawatts and even further beyond. So I think that's the driving factors. And also yun nga, there's already an ongoing shift towards renewables. So I think that will help support the performance of SPNEC.
All right. Okay. Next question from Patrick Aaron. What are the possible risks of SPNEC?
Okay, possible risk, ayun nga, kanina siguro. For this question, two risks came to my mind. First is execution, second is offtake. So yung sa execution risk, siguro if we can go back lang. Okay, so for the execution risk, ayun nga, we said na these 3 points should help boost our confidence on the company, because ayun nga, na-secure na yung land for the total project, and then also na-secure na yung mga permits, and also yung in-house engineering team ni Solar Philippines has a good track record. If you look at its Calatagan and Tarlac project back in 2015 and back in 2019. So by looking at these 3 points, this should somewhat allay our fears when it comes to execution risk. And also sa offtake risks, as we said din kanina, yung favorable policies ng government should help reduce yung offtake risks. When you say offtake risk, ito yung risk na hindi makabenta ng electricity si SPNEC sa market. So okay, that's what we mean when we say offtake. So yun nga, RTS distribution utilities are required to source some of their electricity from renewables, and then meron tayong mga auction programs na allotted lang talaga for renewables. And then yun nga, if hindi man makasecure ng contract si SPNEC, kaya niya magbenta ng capacity sa spot, and then priority dispatch siya, so yung generation niya is mapaprioritize na maibenta. So I think these reasons help reduce the risks from offtake, reduce the offtake risks of the company.
So if yun yung risk, there is a follow-up question I think that we can attach to this. It's more of, are there possible scenarios that could make SPNEC fail? How much is the probability? Can we check on that? I mean, pwede ba natin yun makalculate?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Are there possible scenarios that could make SPNEC fail? How much is its probability? Kasi talking about risks.
Siguro actually dun sa execution risks, when we made our valuations, we also took into account yung execution risk, no? Kaya when we try to arrive at our target prices, lagi may 50% na discount. That's too a lot for to account for execution risks. And I mean, we're not guaranteeing na, I mean, the company will be able to deliver on time. Pero if you look at its track record nga, you can see that the company has the ability to deliver on its promises. So I mean, what is a better gauge for reliability if not yung past performance ng company, right? So ayun. So if you look at its track record, you can say na, and also with the land lease already being secured, the permits, you can say na the company really has the ability to deliver on its promises.
Okay, so let's move on to the next.
Siguro ano lang, I got a note from a friend just to siguro further add dun sa if meron bang agricultural space na na-displace. She said na the area was originally allotted for agricultural, pero irrigation was poor and the land was not viable for agricultural purposes. So it would be better used for other purposes. Ayan nga, katulad nga ng building a solar farm facility instead. So
a smart move.
Yes. Thank you, Pia.
Next question. Zac Apron. I heard the parent company was bleeding money. Is it true? How would this affect SPNEC? Thank you. Is it true?
Okay, bleeding money. So, thank you, Zac Apron, for your question.
Meron ko pang celebrity
Okay,
audience.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, if you look at the prospectus, I mean that shouldn't be a surprise kasi hindi pa naman operational yung solar facilities ng company. So ayun nga, ina-expect natin next year pa. Next year pa yung commercial operation. So sa mga prior years, you expect it to incur losses talaga, no? And if you look at at its prospectus, yung income niya lang right now, since hindi pa nga commercial operation, hindi pa in commercial operations project, ang income niya lang na is coming from interest income. Ayun yung pera niya na nasa bank no, na recognize ng interest. Pero besides that, puro labas na siya ng pera. I don't think that's surprising, and that should be expected kasi nga wala pang operations tong company. So puro ano pa lang siya, overhead, operating expenses. So you really expect the company to yung mas marami yung labas ng pera.
Which all
That should
companies undergo in during
yeah,
this.
correct. Sa starting phase. So ayan, by next year, syempre, we expect the company to record a positive bottom line na. Kasi nga, commercially operational na yung phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1A and phase 1B, sorry.
Okay. Next. Hi daw, sabi ni Marilu Rubio.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am
Way to go
Marilu.
daw. Ayan. Next question. From Barangay Productions, may we know the existing capacity factor of operating projects of SPNEC?
Okay. Yun nga, wala pa siyang existing projects eh. Wala pa siyang existing projects.
Upcoming siya.
Next, sorry?
Upcoming pa lang.
Yeah, upcoming pa lang. So, 2022 pa lang. 2022 pa lang siya. Siguro, si Calatagan and Tarlac, those are not under SPNEC. Those are under SPPHI, which is yung parent ni SPNEC. So, actually, I was not able to check on the actual capacity factors of those two projects. Pero I think it's it's probably within 16 to 19% also capacity factor.
All right. Next question. From June Eledia, how's phase 2A and 2 projects will be funded as it is not in IPO allocation?
Okay, thank you, Sir June Eledia, for the question. Okay, how's phase 2A? I think he's referring to phase 1B. Okay, phase 1B. Phase 1B, that's a total of 175 megawatts. I think the company will fund it via debt. And then for phase 2, that's a total of 275 megawatts. Wala pang final na plan ang management on how to fund this phase 2. So I think the final plan is not yet shared with us. Pero they hinted na it's possible that the company will offer FOO to fund yung phase 2. So an FOO exercise is possible in the horizon.
All right. So next question. Ayan. Hi, Ray. From Ray Delphine. The second, how's the cost per kilowatt hour of SPNEC versus traditional?
Okay, si paring Ray pala to.
Yan ang model
Thanks.
namin.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Ray, for your question. Okay, how's the cost per kilowatt hour of SPNEC versus traditional? Actually, if you look, because of the in-house engineering team ng Solar Philippines, this will also translate to lower costs and expenses on a per kilowatt hour basis. I think in terms of GP margins, si SPNEC is capable of doing around 80% GP margin. So I think that's relatively higher talaga compared to other companies who don't have their own in-house engineering team. So I think having its own EPC team really it will really lead to controlled OPEX for the company.
Ayan. Next question. Siguro last. Sasagutin ba natin itong lahat o sige, sagutin natin to.
Ay, hindi ba hanggang bukas to? Joke lang.
Okay, so kumuha na kayo ng coffee at overnight pala.
Joke lang.
Next question. Tingnan natin kung ano ang susunod. Thank you for, I think the audience are still here with us and, waiting for the questions that are being asked. All right, from Grizel Anthea Guevara, am I right? The land will only be leased by SPNEC. Do we know how long the land lease agreement is for? Are there multiple lessors or just one? What are of lease agreement and calamities? Also, are going currently at 113 megawatts capacity to an additional 500 megawatts capacity is a huge jump. Are there already additional contracts, partnerships secured with other companies such as power distributors to whom they can supply the additional power produced? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your essay question, Ma'am Grisel Antea Guevara. Yeah. Okay, am I right that the land will only be leased by SPNEC? Yes. And then second, do we know how long the land lease agreement is for? Ang naalala ko is around 5 years, which can be further extended, but I think I may have to get back to you on that. Pero ang naalala ko is around 5 years, but extendable. Are there multiple lessors or just one? I think the lessors are just small landowners in Peñafranda, Nueva Ecija. What are other risk factors involved other than termination of lease agreement and calamities?
Do you consider that as a risk, the termination of lease agreement in the first
Yeah,
place?
siguro it can be a risk, pero I don't think it's that
Huge.
big. Yeah, correct. I don't think it's that huge. Also what are other risk factors involved other than termination? Siguro, what else pa? Siguro if sana hindi naman magkaroon ng ano ba, pang ilang wave na ba tayo sa COVID? Siguro third wave. Sana hindi naman magkaroon ng third wave, pero if ever magkaroon, fourth wave. Oh, yan siguro. So, kung magkaroon man, siguro this can possibly siguro delay yung commercial operations ng phase 1A and phase 1B. Pero ayun nga, sana hindi naman magkaroon ng third or fourth wave. So, ayun nga, off-take risk,
Kaya
I think
be careful, guys. Going
yeah,
out and,
get
exposing
vaccinated.
Be careful. So get vaccinated.
Okay, so besides that, off-take risks are, I think, also minimal because of priority dispatch for renewables. Okay, also going from currently 113 to an additional, are there already additional prior security items? Okay, so for this, the company, basically ang question is, I don't know where you got yung 113 megawatts. Kasi ang phase 1A is 50, phase 1A is 50, phase 1B is 175. That's a total of 225. But anyway, so are there any additional contracts, partnership securities? Okay, so the company said that their offtake agreements will be taken opportunistically. So kung saan man mag-o-offer ng higher returns, whether sa spot or sa PSAs, dun sila mag-a-allot ng capacity generation. So it's possible now some of it will be allotted for PSAs and then some of it will be traded opportunistically sa spot. So So but for now wala pang agreements in place, no, kasi ayun nga, I think the management wants to gauge pa the market, no, especially since merong expected na tightness of supply sa grid next year. This is partly due to the coal moratorium by the DOE. So we expect some tightness in the grid. So in that case, I think it will be more beneficial to sell sa spot. So ayun, so the company will be how do I say this? Will be kumbaga magiging opportunistic sila sa pagbenta ng electricity kung saan magge-generate ng highest return.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Meron pa ba?
From
Okay.
no, sorry, from Noel Maramonte. Okay, he clarified yung 113 megawatts is from 65 ng Kalatagan and 50 ni Tarlac. So ayun, just as a typo, yung Tarlac that's 100. And ayun, si Tarlac and Kalatagan, those are not under SPNEC, those are under SPPHI. So si SPNEC, wala pa siyang current na capacity ngayon. So by next year pa mag-start yung commercial operations.
I think we have a last few since we're more than an hour. Kung okay lang, baka mamaya matagalan na yung mga audience. Okay lang ba? Sige, put your comments if gusto niyo po mag-extend on the questions. But yeah, can we address another question to move forward? From Linton Lim, any details on the energy storage?
Energy storage. Okay. For now, I think you're referring to batteries, no? Battery energy storage. For now, wala pang shinare. I don't think may na-share na the plans si management. I think that's one of the questions you can ask Lian on Wednesday.
Yes.
For now, that's a very good question, sir. So wala pang discussions on battery energy storage si SPNEC.
Okay,
So,
I
and so
think
maybe
we
you can
still
ask
have
Nancy.
time on Wednesday to ask Lian also, especially yung mga projects moving forward, because I think a guy like that who probably have already set something on the next few years, and it's gonna be, let's take advantage of that we will have him on the show. Okay, last question maybe from Sibiao. At 500 megawatts, total capex will be about 10 billion. How much of that can likely be financed by debt? With the percentage of debt retirement.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that question. So for phase 2, management haven't shared with us yet kung paano siya, wala pang final na plan on how to fund phase 2. So ayun nga, sabi nila it can be an FOO exercise is possible to fund phase 2. Pero for now, I don't think we have visibility on that yet kung how much of it will be financed by debt. So siguro ang alam pa lang natin now is phase 1A will be financed by IPO proceeds, while phase 1B will be funded by debt. Pero for phase 2, there's no final details yet with regards to the funding.
All right. Meron pa ba tayong pagbibigyan ng question na very interesting? Extend please daw, sabi ni Barangay. Ni Barangay Production. Sasabahan niyo ba kami? Okay. Sige, let's see. Ano pa ba yung questions na hindi pa nasasagot? Neil Holmes, do you think that the initial price action of SPNEC once listed would be comparable with ASEN when it had an IPO or after the IPO?
ASEN. Okay. Sir Neil Holmes, thank you for the question. First, si ASEN, hindi siya ASEN nung nag-IPO eh. Naging FEN siya muna. And then prior to that, I think TA Moon, if I'm not mistaken. So nakailang change na po
pinagdaanan si ASEN.
ang dami nang naging hindi siya ASEN agad eh. Hindi siya ASEN pagmulat eh. So I think TA muna siya and then naging FEN, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So for TA, I have to check on its kung ano naging performance niya nung IPO. So I can't remember at the moment kung ano naging performance niya si DA. So I think we'll have to get back to you on that. So initial price action of SPNEC. So for SPNEC, we're not guaranteeing anything no, on its listing day. We're not guaranteeing anything na magsisiling siya agad or kung ilang araw siya magsisiling. We're not guaranteeing anything, but we're saying that the long-term potential or the long-term potential upside for this stock is tremendous. So there.
Okay. Sabi ni Pia, he is transition line to the grid. Can either be FOO or SRO.
Yung sa funding for phase 2. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Pia.
Okay. So, meron pa ba? Going once? Sabi ni Pia, this is regards to the question on the storage, battery storage. All right. So I think that's it. Don't forget that on Wednesday, rather December 1, we'll have Leandro Leviste with us. So he can. I think he requested to have another set of presentation from him, and then apart from this one. But if you want to subscribe, don't forget to open your emails and click the link of the subscription, so you'll be able to either edit your subscription or finally subscribe to the IPO if you deem to do so. All right. And with that, thank you so much. And thank you for staying with us. We really enjoyed being with you guys. Thank you for the questions that you have thrown at us. I think it's really good. These are so smart questions of investors. I've been in the industry for quite some time. I haven't seen as smart as the questions that being raised in the sessions. It just goes to show that this particular event that we do nagbe-benefit or na-educate ang ating investors. All right, and you just got winked by SPNEC, and we will see you on December 1 for Touch Base. And with that, good afternoon. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
We have an experienced research team, and for I chose my trade because it is complete. So whenever I want to execute a trade, first I would take a look at good fundamentals and whether it's the right time on the technical side. On the fundamentals, we have an experienced research team. And for the technical side, the MyTrade platform provides a lot of tools. These tools really help me in my decision whether when to enter the trade or not. I've had several unfortunate experiences with other brokers. First, I could start with the customer service. Sometimes even, I just want to order an odd lot. I have to email or have to look through the facts. In my trade, I would just press the icon below and there's a live chat for the customer service. So the experience is really great. Some brokers would also have downtimes during market hours. So this is important for me to execute my trades, and being down is an opportunity loss for me. And for me, that's a big deal in trading.